Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on PrizePicks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Hello, friends. Josh Bowe and Kirk Henderson joining you once again for another episode of Pod Maverick. This time, just a shade after Christmas has officially ended, and the Dallas Mavericks gave us a late Christmas present with an unbelievably fun Christmas Day nightcap where they defeated the Phoenix Suns 128-114. Luka Doncic scored his 10,000th point as an NBA player, while also casually dropping a 50 and 15 game. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Merry Christmas to you and everyone listening out there. Hope everyone had a pretty stress-free holiday. Got to watch some good hoops. I know the Mavericks playing the last game on the Christmas docket is a little tough for those of us that are already under the gun with sleep, but at least I didn't have to fight many family members to watch the game in the middle of the day. I think I would rather take the nightcap to end things when everyone's asleep in the house. And I'll stay up and we can talk some hoops. I know we're both this is a pretty fun game. We got some stuff to
I
talk
love
about.
that you said that, because when you're looking at this game, like, I don't know, middle of summer, you're like, oh yeah, because you and I both have small children. We're both like, oh yeah, we're going to be able to get done with Christmas stuff. We're going to be able to watch the game. And both of us, and I'm a Christmas veteran at this point. We're both fucking stupid in the sense of what I did not build in was the fact that I wouldn't sleep last night. Where
Right.
My wife, my favorite thing, I love that Tiger Woods meme going around where it's like him going
The big dog. Yeah.
And I saw a tweet this morning where it says husbands thanking their wives for all the Christmas gifts they're just now learning about. And like, that was me. I'm not gonna lie. That was me at like 11:30 last night where my wife gives me this fort I have to build. And I'm like, wait, what? And so I was, it was about 3:30 in the morning. Baby didn't give a shit about sleep. And I'm sorry I'm cursing so much. I'm not that sorry, but I'm tangentially sorry. And man, so it's just like coming to this game, it was like 6:30 tonight. I remember I sent a message to Mavs group chat a minute. I just said, like, I gotta stay up like 7 more hours. Are you kidding me? And the Mavericks gave us the kind of game that you want to stay up for, because I went through the full range of fan emotions. Well, let's kind of talk about the game and then we can talk about how we felt about it. So you were doing, I think, bedtime stuff during the first half, but Luka came out and was very, very this might have been, it's in the top 10 regular season performances from Luka Doncic. I don't know how to describe it, to where he was on early and he looked good and he did not let up. So he had some lapses defensively in this game, but first half in this game, he looked as strong defensively as I can remember him being, possession to possession. And I had a great time watching him, where at halftime, the Mavericks were only up 10 due to some late lapses. But Luka crossed the 10,000 point mark pretty early on in the game, getting that whole hullabaloo out of the way. He only needed to score 11 points. Incredible story up on MavsMoneyball.com from our guy Isaac. If you want to read it, he turned in 1,800 words on how Luka scored 10,000 points. I was not expecting that. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit wired right now. And then the second half happened. And why don't you tell us what happened in the third quarter, Josh?
Grayson Allen hit 1,000,000 3-pointers. The Mavericks gave up the lead that they worked so hard to get in the first half. What's his? I can't even say his name. Metu from the Suns. I mean, both of those guys had insane games overall, but in the third quarter particularly, they kind of just torched the Mavericks, who were their game plan was obviously let anyone but Booker or Durant beat us. And in the third quarter, you could see how that strategy can maybe backfire a little if you let, Allen's not a terrible shooter. So, they just kept helping off him, and he just kept making them. And they turned to what looked like was going to be a blowout, I thought, in the first half into a real dogfight.
So let's talk some brass tacks here. Do you really think?
Oh, the Grant. I know you wanted to get to. Did you want to get to the Grant Williams stuff?
No. I mean, it's included in that. Beyond the fact that Grant Williams. Please stop. We'll return to Grant Williams later. Okay. Just for the record, Grant Williams, please stop. And you know what I mean. Everybody who watches this game knows what I mean. You don't get to instigate and talk trash when you have more fouls than statistical contributions. Anyway, I'm wondering, just from you're ball. Let's just be clear. You have a very good eye for strategy. It's one of the things that you bring to our site and to this podcast, which I have a harder time doing in a first pass. Do you think that their commitment to stopping Booker and Durant, or do you think Booker and Durant were bad?
I think I would take a little column A, a little column B. I thought Durant was incredibly passive. He only had 11 shot attempts, and I know he got doubled a lot, but he had 6 turnovers and 7 assists and 6 turnovers. And a lot of those turnovers were out of doubles. So if he wasn't going to score a lot, his passing was not good enough. At least Booker had a pretty bad shooting game, but he had 10 assists and 3 turnovers. He handled the doubles pretty well passing wise. He just couldn't get a shot to fall. Durant couldn't get a shot to fall, and he handled the double teams very poorly. And so I think, it's a little bit of both. Obviously, if the Mavericks probably single guarded those guys the whole game, they probably would have had a different stat line, but still, I think Durant, he just played a really passive game. It was really weird. And it was especially funny coming off of the ESPN report from earlier in the day about how Durant is apparently frustrated with the lack of help on the Suns roster. And then he comes out and shoots 4 of 11, has 16 points. Meanwhile, 2 of his role player teammates, Grayson Allen and Metu, have career nights. So I thought that was cosmically pretty funny for that all to happen in one day. But yeah, this was let's be real. We've watched Durant a lot. It's one of the worst games I've ever seen him play, I think.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna ride this high, and I'm gonna talk my shit because I had a lot of fun watching this game, but I couldn't help but think that there was a bit of quicksand going on with guys sort of not digging out, and it could have been a blowout except for the Grayson Allen of it all. Now, the Mavericks do deserve some credit there. I really thought there were moments where they absolutely flew around like crazy on defense.
For sure.
But it also felt like, to a degree, what do you have? Oh my God, my dog has my wife's Christmas present. I'll be right back.
Yeah, defensively, they had some moments. It was hot or cold. I think they gave up way too many corner threes, but thankfully the Suns did make them pay. The Suns only shot 4 of 16 on corner threes. You give up 16 corner 3 attempts in a game. That's usually not great news. So that wasn't great, but they got lucky with the Suns missed them. But I thought Luka had some real. This was probably one of Luka's best defensive games of the year, and I thought Jones also did a decent job when he was in single coverage against Durant, and there wasn't a double. Durant got him a couple times, but didn't get him a lot, obviously. He only made 4 shots. So I thought those 2 in particular were pretty good. Lively coming back. I mean, hey, Lively's back. I mean, what a difference having Lively is. Just immediately comes back and has a 2010 game. So that was cool. So yeah, there were some weak spots defensively, but I thought Luka, Lively, and Jones all had pretty good moments. Luka had 4 steals and 3 blocks. I don't think he's ever done that before.
7 stocks. I bet he has never done that in an NBA game before.
I bet he's never done that since he was like 13 or something. That was pretty crazy. He had some good stops against Booker too. Like they switched. Luka got switched onto Booker a couple times, and Booker couldn't get past him. Like it was pretty clear from tip. I mean, you said this before. Like Luka was pretty jacked up for this game. Like he was absolutely ready from opening tip to final buzzer. Like his focus and attention to detail and effort level. Not trying to say that it's like, it's bad normally, like, but it was just he was kind of on another plane of existence when this game started, and you could just sense it from the opening tip, I think.
Well, and see, I by and large try not to give a care about like media narratives, but this was one of those games where it's just ESPN has such like Mad Lib style decision making on the things they're going to talk about. Where Luka passed his 10,000 points, I don't think they talked about it at halftime, and maybe it became a thing as the game wore on. But it's such a focus on like the old stars and what the Suns were doing to where we didn't have enough time to talk about Luka Doncic. And I want to give like that credit here, because Luka Doncic does not get to do what Devin Booker does. I'm sorry. What was Devin Booker's final line?
20 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds.
Not a bad line.
No.
Not a bad line. Not a superstar, a NBA, all NBA first team player, or MVP candidate line. It is a above average line for a team's best player on a run-of-the-mill mediocre team, which is what the Suns are. And I'm sorry, Luka Doncic has a game like that on Christmas Day. That's the story for 2 days about how Luka is, it's just the nature of this stuff. And usually I don't care, but I wanted a full-throated celebration of Luka at a time when he was kicking ass, because he went out there as the best player on the court with Kevin Durant, a future Hall of Famer, and just kick their asses. There's really no other way around it. I mean, I was going to wait till after our immediate break to talk about Luka, but we're just going to do it right now, because Luka Doncic scored 50 points and had 15 assists. So just doing some basic math here, guys, assuming all of Luka's 15 assists were for 2-point shots, okay? 2-point shots only, and that's not what they were. Luka Doncic was played a part in 80 of the Mavericks' 128 points. That's special. That's MVP kind of stuff, period. I know people, I know Embiid's going to win it because this is a narrative award and nobody works the media like that ass clown. But this is a MVP type performance from an MVP caliber player. And I just want crow about it. It's fantastic. Couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, he had 8 made threes and 12 made free throws, which I mean, this is kind of obscure, but has he ever had a game in the NBA where he's had a combined 20 made threes and free throws? He might have.
Oh, I could have killed it. I could have killed Mavs Moneyball contributor SJ, who said, well, if Luka's hitting threes and hitting free throws, we're going to win this game. And I'm like,
Jinx.
You don't say that out loud. What kind of mad woman are you? But
this is what it looks like when he's doing that. I mean, it's just unstoppable. 8 of 16 from 3, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. That was pretty awesome. The MVP thing is interesting. Like, he's absolutely MVP worthy. Like, that's not a question. His stat line is great. The Mavericks are 18-12. So they're currently 5th in the West, when, most prognosticators had them either in the play-in or outside of the play-in entirely. So, I mean, he's obviously worthy. The thing that's going to be tough is, love or hate Embiid, he has the numbers, and his team is 20-9 and 30.
Yeah, well, you know what? He skipped today's Christmas game,
I
and
know.
I saw from the Twitter account, I think it was Brick Muse, where it said DNP Miami.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Luka doesn't skip the tough games, and I'm sorry, Embiid does.
No, I know, but I think
I'm going to talk my shit because I'm correct. And if you want to argue with me, go look at the fucking game log.
No, go do it. But I'm just thinking, realistically, if he's going to win MVP this year, the Mavericks probably need to get, I would say, bare minimum, they need to be top 4. Maybe they need to be top 3. Like if they're right behind the Nuggets and the Wolves, or if they're right around them, then I think, and he finishes the season strong. Because let's be frank, like he's had some pretty crazy October, November, December runs in the last couple of years. And then March, April, maybe late February, some things don't look as great as how it started. So he needs to finish the season strong, which he hasn't really done in a couple of years, especially after last season. People are going to hold that against him. And then they need to finish with, at least home court advantage in the West, because I know Jokic won MVP as a 6th seed in 2021.
That's not happening anymore.
Yeah, that's just when that happened because I think they were tired of giving it. They didn't want to give it to Giannis again. And there wasn't really another great candidate because it wasn't like there weren't a lot of dominant teams. Like the Suns were the best team in the NBA, but they were very they were kind of the sum is more, the parts are bigger than the whole or whatever. So there's too many good candidates this year between Jokic himself, between Shea, Embiid, Giannis again. There's just too many good candidates for Luka to be able to win it if he's not in the top 3 in the West.
I'm being an asshole here in large part because of how these conversations take place. Okay, what Joel Embiid is doing, if you're watching, it's terrifying. He's playing unbelievably good basketball. He did not deserve to win the MVP last year. Let me be clear. He was a clown fraud and talked his way into that award. But he's playing better now than he did last season.
I know he's doing all the things that he
all the shit that he taught. Yes, I think you take away his free throws, he still might be close to leading the league in scoring. He's doing some insane stuff. So but what drives me crazy about the conversations is that we're going to finally start to talk. Collective media, will finally start to talk about Luka once he's had a downturn or something. Why can't? He has scored 30 points or more in 13 of the last 14 games. He's been unreal. And it's not that I want the media attention. I always tell, I'm in a variety of group chats. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather walk softly and carry a big stick. But it's the odd disdain at key moments where it's well, what does Kevin Durant feel about this? Kevin Durant's one of my favorite players I've ever watched. He's also a journeyman at this point who has hurt his own reputation by changing teams so many times. By nobody cares about his titles. So it's why can't we talk about the guy who's up and coming? And yeah, Luka's still up and coming. Sorry. Pretty sure he's 24 years old unless I can't do math.
Yeah, I know. It's stuff that's not his fault. It's not Luka's fault that he was the betting preseason favorite 4 years in a row, which causes media people to be like, well, we thought he was going to win it 2 years ago, and we thought he was going to win it 3 years ago, and then he didn't. And it's it's almost like a weird self-fulfilling prophecy from the media side of it. But that's not, Luka didn't ask to be that. He can't control who's the preseason favorite to win MVP, which then hurts his narrative when he doesn't win it. So again, it's just, numbers wise, stuff on the court. Literally, he's done more. He's done everything he can possibly do to be a front runner for the
sure.
award. The Mavericks are good. He's great. He's had a historic month of December. He's been good all season. The team's winning. They're 18-12 after they had 38 wins last season. They're off to one of their best starts in team history. I know they kind of the last 10 or 15 games haven't been as good as the first 10 or so games, but they started the season strong and after last season's disappointment. So, you really can't ask for anything more. Maybe the only thing that he probably need a couple more games like this, either national TV wins or just wins against good. They haven't really beaten good teams, so he probably needs a couple more of those to really.
Friend of me of the pod and betting analyst Matt Moore of the Action Network said this is the best Mavericks regular season win to date, and
I think it is. It might be.
Like if they had kicked the shit out of the Lakers and held on to that lead
yes.
in Los Angeles, that probably would have been the other deciding one. But this one's pretty rough. Let me read you a stat here, Josh. Per the NBA PR account, Dallas's Luka Doncic, 50 points, is the fourth player to score at least 50 points in a game on Christmas Day. Bernard King had 60 in 1984. Wilt Chamberlain had 59 in 1961. Rick Barry had 50 in 1996. Luka Doncic, 50 in 2023. So for those of you who can do math, it is the first 50-point game in 39 years.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, anytime you're on a list with Bernard King and Wilt Chamberlain, because they've got some pretty nutty stats and records from back in the day, like that's pretty impressive. Well, especially that's nuts.
And look at the chat here. Shout out to I can't even say my man's name here. Fantasista Zero. Luka Doncic, fastest to 10K in scoring in the regular season since Michael Jordan.
I can't believe he beat LeBron on that. That's crazy.
By like 10 solid games.
Yeah. It's like it's so weird because it's like he's only 24, but it feels like he's 30 because he's just been a professional for so long. And it's been like clockwork. Like it feels like he's so old because he's been all NBA basically since his second season. Like there wasn't that he had a rookie season that was better than expectations. And then since then he's been a top 5 player in the NBA. Like there was no like he needed like you look at someone like Shea, who's awesome. I love Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He still needed like he needed a handful of seasons before he got kind of not plateau, but till he reached, where he is now. Like even Steph Curry needed a couple years. Like it's just the how instantaneous Luka has been is both incredible and also I feel like almost like a detriment to how people think about him because now he's like it's just so common. Like it's just bizarre. It's crazy how he makes these improbable things just feel really probable, if that makes sense.
Okay. We're at the point in the podcast, well past the point in the podcast where I'm algorithmically supposed to suggest that you all do us all a favor. Go hit that like on the stream. At the moment, we're at something hilarious. Let me just go check the number because it makes me laugh. We are at 46 likes. There's 370 of you in this room at the moment. If you could do me a favor and go hit that like, each and every one of you, that would be a big favor to me. If you could also consider subscribing to the Pod Maverick podcast. Josh and I, or one of us, tends to go live almost after every single game. We're rounding into the new year here. And now that there are no longer holidays, I've realized this over the last week, that basketball is actually what gets me through the seasonal sadness disorder, because it's dark, it's cold, it's boring, the sun sets early. I watch basketball and then I talk about it with you. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And also please consider leaving a comment on the actual video when we're done here tonight. Josh and I will probably tap out here in the next 15 minutes, and then I will stay hosting, and you can come talk to me about this game if you want to stay up until the all hours of the morning and talk hoops. I have nothing to do. I don't know if I'm working tomorrow. We're going to assume that I'm working tomorrow, and then I'll slam like a Red Bull at like 7 in the morning and be fine. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. Cannot appreciate it enough.
Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom, like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool that helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about, so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
Okay, so what else are like the real like positive things? We can talk about the frustrating things, I think, at some point, but there's just a lot to be delighted about, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Lively 20 and 10. I wish he was on a minutes restriction, which I'm not a medical trainer, so I'm not really going to give 2 cents there. But it was a little bit of a shame because he started the game, I think, 7 points in like the first 4 to 5 minutes, like just doing the thing that we've talked about that's so impressive, catching in the 4-on-3 off doubles and finishing and scoring instead of just making that auto pass, like being able to catch the ball at the free throw line and then score, which is just like none of us thought he had that in his bag his rookie season. Like, to him developing that so quickly has just been incredible because he did not do that in Duke like at all. So that was pretty awesome. And then he got taken out with about 8 minutes left in the first quarter. So I almost feel like, he played 32 minutes, so still played a decent amount, but almost felt like he could have had an even bigger game if he maybe wasn't on a minutes restriction. But again, I'm not gonna double, armchair quarterback or Monday morning quarterback medical staff decisions because I'm just way out of my league there. But he was awesome. I mean, 10 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds. His offensive rebounds were huge. Felt like they were big momentum plays. Just his ability when Luka is doubled to be the finisher and the direct finisher, not like getting a hockey assist and then finish, like Luka directly getting him the ball and then scoring, is just a game changer for this offense, and it just makes a big difference. And then, of course, his size near the basket helps as well. The Mavericks defense wasn't incredible, but the Mavericks outscored the Suns in the paint, and the Mavericks do not outscore teams in the paint very often. So he was a sight for sore eyes. I mean, he was great.
So I'm going to talk about one more Luka thing I forgot to talk about, but it's in relation to Lively. So you talked about how often Kevin Durant was doubled. We saw tonight the difference between a Luka Doncic pass and a Kevin Durant and Devin Booker pass out of a double team. Luka simply puts the ball where the guy can catch it. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker put it within range of their teammates being able to hopefully grab it. And there is such a decided difference in a game with this much athleticism, meaning the NBA basketball game, that it's hard to contextualize unless you're watching like possession after possession after possession where you see it. There were a couple of times where Luka is standing near what in my brain I always think of as like the volleyball line, like well extended from the 3-point line, where he hits Lively in the hands as Lively makes himself available, maybe 6 feet away from the rim. And the kind of trust it takes to throw that pass and the confidence and ability to catch that pass is extraordinarily underrated. Josh and I are lapsed big men. When you fuck that pass up, you don't get it thrown to you again.
No, he's earned his trust for sure.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And he catches it time and again. And he had one real high one that bobbled. And it's like, I remember yelling at the TV. I was like, come on, catch that. And I'm like, wait, the 7-footer tried to pull it down like he was, trying to do the catch when it's Joe Montana in like 1983. And it's like, okay, maybe it was a little high for him.
He also only had one turnover. So like,
that was the turnover. That was the one. And it's just that sort of thing is so remarkably underappreciated. We have these Twitter accounts, and I'm just going to be a shit tonight. I don't care. Like local clown show Ball Don't Stop, who is talking about how OJ Mayo is a bucket despite putting up 6 points per game in a Egyptian league in 2021. The kind of skill I just described is what makes a difference in an NBA game, not bullshit ball handling and throwing up terrible shots and shooting 39%. Sorry. It's the difference, and it's why we talk about this stuff, and it's why people who do discuss basketball can sometimes do so in a really disdainful way because it's not appreciated enough, and it's also not explained enough. What Lively did, he hit tonight. One of the closing buckets that he hit tonight was like a 7 or 8 foot kind of turnaround hook that you're looking at that and you're like, that's such an easy shot, because I don't think anybody was near him. I think he was just sort of giving it to him, and he chose to take it, and it just splashed right through, and I giggled with glee because Brandon Wright might be the only Maverick that I've seen hit a shot like that in my time. Really, I mean, not even Tyson. Tyson didn't do stuff like that.
I mean, that area of the floor is like commonly referred to as like the dead zone, like not right at the rim, but not like at the like in between the free throw line and the rim. Like it's difficult. Like there's traffic, there's people near you. Like, it's kind of it can be an awkward shot. So yeah, he's doing that. That's pretty great.
I love him. I love him. I hold him to such high standards.
This is why you draft. This is why this is why you want draft picks. I know that they're not automatic, but like you just want that bite at the apple.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm very much like Renee Zellweger and Jerry Maguire, where she's talking about him and he's off camera. We're like, I love him. I do. I can't help it, man. I cannot help it, because it's so much more than we ever could have wished for. And I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier about it. What else are we thinking?
We got to, Dereck Jones Jr., 23 points from a Mavericks role-playing wing. And it wasn't on a bunch of spoon-fed spot-up threes, is pretty unheard of in the Luka Doncic era. I mean, he attacked the rim pretty aggressively, and in a way that like he's been doing it now all season, that it's obviously like a thing. Like this isn't like a flash in the pan. Everyone kind of knew his 3-point shooting would cool off, especially because he was making a lot of above the break threes early on. But like his ability to attack closeouts and do stuff around the basket is pretty impressive. He was 4 of 7 in the restricted area, 2 of 3 in the paint. I mean, 7 shots at the rim. Like, I mean, it's another site for think about how many times we've been on this podcast after a Mavericks game, and it's like no one knows how to drive. Like no one on the roster can drive, and it makes a big difference. And again, it's not like they need someone to make a play, like, running offense or setting up someone for an assist. It's just, can you, when a defender's running at you, can you dribble past him? Like that's not as crazy of an NBA skill that some people make it out to be, which is why it was so frustrating to see the Mavericks roster lacking so much of it. And so he's been a breath of fresh air for sure, the way he can do that.
And this is not to take anything away from him. The Suns had no rim protection.
No.
That was but that's a tactical decision where they could have played who was it? They could have played Drew Eubanks more than 17 minutes. They chose not to. And the Mavericks being able to take advantage of a tactical choice by the Suns that would put them at a detriment is so important. So is he going to do that against Minnesota? Probably not. Okay. I don't care right now. I don't care. It
doesn't matter.
It's just like everybody that gets really hell-bent on like building a contender right now. I want to put that idea to rest for a day or a week or a month, because going from winning 38 games to the trend that the Mavericks are on right now kicks ass. And these wins where Dereck Jones Jr. is the emphatic, put back dunk of a point is so important. He was great. He really was great. Like he had a finish. Him and Luka, obviously 50 points. You love it. Okay. but what were if we were to go by the play-by-play in the fourth quarter, I'm wondering, I need to go look at this. Cause again, I was kind of like screaming at the TV.
Luka was, he was passing for most of the fourth quarter.
It also dawns on me as we're talking that I signed up to write the stats post. Love when I forget the things as an editor in chief that I forget I'm going to do. Luka gets a pair of free throws at the 4-minute mark to put him up by 7. You get a lively dunk, a Dereck Jones Jr. Layup, Dereck Jones Jr. free throw, Tim Hardaway dunk, Dereck Lively 8-foot floating jump shot, Luka Doncic 11-point shot when the game's out of hand. Like Luka Luka orchestrated it. He's important, but the other guys closed the door on the Suns. And I just find that extremely important.
Yeah. It was, and especially like Jones is like literally the last signing of your offseason veteran minimum deal. It's just crazy the way that that's worked out for them. And I'm just glad, like, it's just nice to see them move on from just, hey, everyone that's around Luka is just going to be a standstill spot up guy. Like, it just, you don't have to have a lot of juice playing next to Luka to get downhill and get some easy buckets at the rim. You just need a little bit. And then that's what Jones has. And it's really fun. It's really fun to watch. And it was cool that, like, he was able to do that. Like, Exum finally had like a normal game. Even though when he was on the floor, the team still played well, but like statistically, he kind of had a back down to earth game. So for Jones to do what he did was great. And this was like kind of a new look starting lineup, by the way, too. I don't know if this lineup has started before. So, and Kid talked about starting lineups and rotation stuff before the game. So we kind of got a peek, I think, into what the team might be looking like going forward, even when Kyrie and Josh Green get healthy. Because Tim Hardaway Jr. started. Grant Williams did not. First game, Grant Williams did not start this season. Came off the bench. Also, Mavericks basically didn't play a backup five. Like, they played Grant as the backup five. When Grant was in the game, he was the five.
Which they can't do. They can't do that. They can probably do it half the night.
They can get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can get away with it in a game like today. But yeah, they can't get away with that against the Nuggets. But honestly, with the way they're playing when they try to go match size with size against those bigger teams, it hasn't worked. So why not, right? I mean, they might be leaning into what this team's good at, and maybe they've stopped fooling themselves thinking that this could be a defensive-minded team, because we both know that, like, that's how Kidd would prefer to have his roster. He's a defense-first coach, but I wonder if they're, not to say they're waving the white flag on being a better defensive team, but they might just be like, look, we're getting killed anyway, so let's just play our 5 most productive players on the court as often as possible, even if that means we're going to be even smaller than we were before.
Yeah, and there's going to be a time where we circle back on this discussion and we're talking about how small the Mavericks are.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a fact.
Right.
I choose not to do that during moments of joy.
Oh yeah,
that people
No,
rightfully get very upset with me for my takes in games. But if you're watching at a sports bar with me, if you're not having the same reaction, if you're like, oh, this is fine, I'm passively watching this game. Okay, that's not how I watch sports. But when it comes to like the wins and losses, like, we'll circle back on these things. We'll circle back on the fact that Grant Williams is bad.
Yeah.
But not today. I don't really want to do it today. He knows he needs to do better. He knows he needs to not be admitting, maybe he doesn't know that, because again, I can't emphasize enough. The funniest moment in recent NBA history that I watched live was Grant Williams talking shit and saying he was going to hit 2 free throws only to miss them both. The second funniest thing might have been Devin Booker screaming at his teammates and it getting picked up on a hot mic tonight about how they didn't get back on defense. Did you see that?
That was pretty good. What did he say? He was like, you turned the ball over and now you're not getting,
you're just not going to get back. And it's like, you're not getting back for me. And it's like, yeah, leader of men there type stuff, Devin. Just real big, man. What an enjoyable contest. I mean, the Mavericks ran a playoff rotation tonight.
Yeah. 6-man rotation for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. You look through it, and that's going to catch up with them. But again, Kyrie Irving comes in, solves some of these problems. We're eventually gonna have to talk about the Kyrie thing, because I think Luka cannot keep doing this.
No.
But they had there's this weird sort of, oh, well, Kai can do this at any moment. And no, he can't. Sorry. They're not on the same level. Different guys.
Right, but he doesn't have to do this. He just needs to be the secondary guy. Just so Luka is not playing 45 minutes a night and having to literally do everything on offense. So that's the luxury. He doesn't have to try to match Luka's production. He just needs to be just someone else that can do some stuff every now and then.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. And that's actually probably helpful, because it extends Kyrie's longevity, right, and it extends Luka's longevity while there's an actual discussion, and that's fine. And I have no idea if they would think differently about this. A lot of this stuff comes down to like fan discussions where people take their sides like it's a political debate, and I'm not super interested in that. But we're inching towards that point because, again, Luka MVP type stuff, just really magnificent. I don't know. Should we just sort of close it out there, and then I'll go on to the other show? Is there anything else you want to talk about? How's Christmas?
Christmas was good. We had Megan's, my wife's family, her parents and her sister came over to our house, so we didn't have to leave the house.
Nice.
Which was nice, but hey, it's a busy day. I cannot wait to get into bed, but I had a great day. You're tired.
You should go to bed.
Yeah.
It's very important. I didn't wear it on the show tonight because my kids spit up all over it. But I got the quarter zip that Jason Kidd and the coaching staffs wear.
And you got the kid glasses on.
Not as a prank. It's fucking awesome. It feels good. It looks great. And Clint, our guy Clint, who writes for Mavs Moneyball every great now and again. Shout out Clint, write more. He told me I need to shave my head and start talking about how I'm just watching the team. But I just, it's just nice Christmas. My kid got far too much stuff. That is what it is.
Yeah. We need to get you on one of these shows where you're wearing that.
Oh, I will. I had it on. He just
with the kid glasses.
He spit up all over. It was like wet, like across me. And I was like, okay, I'm not wearing that. I'm having to explain it. All right. So Josh and I are going to break here for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to come back. I guess it's closer to a minute. Then I'm going to come back with our other live show. For those of you who are listening on the podcast a little later, be looking for this show probably on Tuesday afternoon. We'll be back. We're going to keep recording these shows. There's lots of Mavs game to be played. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And we will be talking soon. Everybody enjoy your night. Please hang around and come talk basketball with me. Go Mavs.